Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to my channel, Data Driven Decisions. Um, Today I'm going to show off DAX Studio. DAX Studio is a great tool to analyze um, your environment in Power BI. The tables, their sizes, um, how well the join keys are doing. It lets you know if there's any row violations in joins. Um, it also lets you just export your data model into an Excel workbook. I know a lot of old school people just want to have the data readily available to them and just have their own blank workbook to build their pivot tables. And I'll show you that in this video. It's really cool. So, DAX Studio is a free software that, goes along with Power BI. You just download it on your own. Anytime you have a Power BI workbook open, you just open up your DAX Studio and then connect to that workbook, and it helps analyze, your environment. So let me share my screen. All right, so we're in DAX Studio right now. I connected to my workbook, which is called Danny Finances 6, and I'm in the Advanced tab, um, just showing the summary right now. My data is 533 megabytes, so it's not even a gig, so it's quite small. This Vertipack engine, which is what the database in Power BI is called. It does a phenomenal job at shrinking data and only storing it very, very efficiently. So, if I were to go in a BigQuery and analyze the size of my tables, the same tables, they would be much larger because it's not doing as good a job um, at shrinking the data. But so far I have 29 tables. I have 1,709 columns. That's quite a lot. And it was last refreshed today at 10:49. Now that here's all the tables, all 29 tables sorted by size. This monthly finance compared table is very large. It's 396 megabytes. Um, it's got 12,405 rows. That's its cardinality. Um, so, you know, it's no longer a small data project. I do have a nice size table in here, and it has increased the ETL of my jobs, especially when I update in Power BI. It now takes a good 5 minutes for my dashboards to refresh after I hit the refresh button, all because of this monthly finances compare table. I might want to normalize it. It's all just everything in one table, and it's a big table, but uh, you know normalizing it into a star schema, taking out all the redundant attribute values in the table, and really making the table as small as it needs to be, and then just capture the attribute value information in dim tables. That's probably something I should do just to speed up the ETL of Power BI, because there's no getting around it. It takes a while for Power BI to import tables that are millions of rows, and the best way to fix that is to shrink the table in columns, get rid of the attribute values, and make a little mini star schema data model out of it. This is very important. Row violations. You see, I do have some, which is bad. If I go to relationships, you see missing keys. So like my monthly finance table doesn't have all the months that the monthly finances table had. So there's a bunch of missings. That's fine. Same here. Not a big deal. So, there are some row violations. It's not like a closed model where every dim table attribute has a matching dim table attribute in every fact table. Um, Here are all the columns that are making up a lot. The compare name, which is in the very big table, that's uh, the largest field, taking up the most space in the data. Um, and then compare number, that's weird. A number, just a stored number, is taking about as much space as a string. They're both of the same granularity. This is the sort key of compare name. So these are things that I could probably have in dim tables. It doesn't need to be in the fact table because it's too large, and these can be stored in much smaller table and it wouldn't take as much size. But nonetheless, the Vertipack engine, even though, if I go into this table, I'll show you. Um, so this table, um, compare. So yeah, this compare metric name. Uh, uh, this table is 12 million rows, and a lot of these dim fields don't have to be in this table. They can be in smaller tables. But this metric right here, or field, is taking up the most space in the data model. This is a very granular, but it still can be stored in a smaller table because it's the same value across every month in the data. So it just needs to be stored in a table that's called compare number. That would be the primary key, and it would store this value. But nonetheless, in DAX Editor, even though there's redundancies in that value, it shrinks it so that it kind of figures out the pattern of how it's stored, and only stores the unique values, and then the rules for how it's uh, put into each row. So it does a really good job at only storing the necessary information, and so uh, it's not that big a deal in Power BI because Power BI will always fix redundant attribute values and shrink it and make it not so big. However, as it's importing it that's what takes a while, and that's what you can fix. So this is DAX Editor. It's really cool. You can export the metrics. You can analyze in Excel. I was telling you before, if you're like an old school person and you just kind of want your blank workbook and the connected data, I mean, this is really everything you have in Power BI, but now in Excel. It has the entire data model in there, um, and you can do whatever you want. So, for instance, you can dashboard in Excel. Before Power BI existed, this is the main tool I used. You can really do everything in Power BI that you can do in Excel, but um, you know, it's nice. You can analyze the data however you want in a blank workbook. So that's really cool with DAX Editor. So, you know, for all you Power BI users, uh, download DAX and learn it. Use the advanced metric analyzer, to analyze your tables, and then also, click this Analyze in Excel button. So I hope you like this video. Download DAX Editor. It will help you. Take care.